Subscribe to my YouTube channel because today's story is one you won't forget. A tale of love, betrayal, and regret. I gave him 7 years of my life, 7 years of love, of patience, of standing by his side through every storm. I believed we were unbreakable, that no matter what happened, no matter how tough things got, we would always find our way back to each other. But I was wrong. It started subtly at first. Missed dinners, unanswered calls, the way his eyes stopped lighting up when he saw me. I convinced myself it was just stress. That work was getting to him. But deep down, a tiny voice whispered the truth I didn't want to hear. I ignored the perfume on his shirt that wasn't mine. I ignored the way he turned his phone away when I walked into the room. I ignored the nights he came home smelling like expensive wine and a woman's floral scent. And then, one night, I couldn't ignore it anymore. "Let's talk," he said, his voice unnervingly calm. My heart pounded. I knew, even before he spoke, I knew. "I think we should separate," he continued, not even meeting my eyes. I sat there, frozen, as his words shattered the world I had built with him. "Is there someone else?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. A long pause, then a sigh. Yes, I thought I would cry. I thought I would scream, beg, ask him why. Why, after everything, he could do this to me. But no tears came, no words, just an empty, hollow feeling spreading through my chest. She was younger, beautiful, exciting. "I never meant to hurt you," he said, as if that made it any better. I packed my things that night. He didn't stop me. Not once did he ask me to stay. The hardest part wasn't leaving. The hardest part was realizing that the man I had loved for 7 years had never truly seen me, that I had given my heart to someone who had tossed it away the moment something better came along. I disappeared from his life completely, changed my number, moved to a different city. I refused to be the broken woman left behind, waiting for a man who never truly loved me. I built a new life, found new dreams, and slowly, painfully, I started healing. But life has a funny way of turning things around, because years later, when he finally realized what he had lost, it was too late. He showed up at my door, eyes filled with regret. "I made a mistake," he admitted, voice trembling. "I lost the only real love I ever had." But was there anything left to save? Or was he just another man learning his lesson too late? Stay tuned, because what happened next, even I didn't see coming. I stood there staring at him, the same man who had once held my heart in his hands, now looking at me with desperation in his eyes. For a moment, I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no longing, just emptiness. "Why are you here?" I asked, my voice steady. He exhaled, running, a hand through his hair like he was trying to find the right words. I don't know where else to go," he admitted. I let out a dry laugh. That's not my problem anymore. The weight of my words hit him. He shifted on his feet, his shoulders slumping slightly. "I know I messed up," he said, his voice softer now. "I was a fool, and I lost the best thing that ever happened to me." I folded my arms, my heart pounding, but I refused to let him see it. "Oh, and what happened to your perfect mistress? The one you threw 7 years of love away for?" He swallowed hard, looking away. "She left." "Of course she did. She got bored, didn't she?" I asked, my tone sharp. "She took what she wanted from you and moved on. And now that you have no one, you come running back to me." "It's not like that," he insisted. "I loved her, or at least I thought I did. But it wasn't real, not like what we had." I shook my head, letting out a bitter laugh. "You realize that now, after all this time?" His hands clenched into fists at his sides. frustration flickering in his eyes. I was stupid, okay. I was selfish and blind. But being without you, losing you, it's been hell. I wanted to say something cruel, to hurt him the way he had hurt me, but I didn't. Because the truth was, I had already moved on, not just from him, but from the pain, the betrayal. You made your choice, I said finally, and I made mine. I chose to walk away, to rebuild my life without you. His eyes searched mine, pleading, "Is there really no second chance? No way to fix this?" I sighed, looking at the man who had once been my whole world. There was a time when I would have given anything to hear him say those words. A time when I would have taken him back in an instant. But that time was long gone. You don't get to break a heart and expect it to still belong to you. I said quietly, I gave you 7 years, and you threw it all away for someone who never loved you. I can't trust you again. His shoulders sagged. He looked broken, like a man who had finally understood the true weight of his mistakes. I deserve that, he murmured. Yes, I agreed. You do. For a moment, we stood there in silence, the past hanging between us, heavy and unchangeable. And then, with a deep breath, I turned away, because my story wasn't about him anymore. It never was. It was about me, choosing myself, my happiness, and a future where I was no longer defined by the love I lost. I walked away, feeling the weight of the past finally slipping off my shoulders. It wasn't easy. A part of me wanted to turn back, to see if he was still standing there, but I didn't, because I knew that chapter of my life was over. The world outside felt different, lighter. The years I had spent crying, questioning my worth, wondering why I wasn't enough. None of it mattered anymore. He had made his choice, and now I had made mine. I was choosing myself. Days passed, then weeks. I didn't hear from him again. Maybe he finally understood that some things, once broken, could never be fixed. Or maybe he was just too ashamed to face me again. Either way, it didn't matter. Life moved on. I found happiness in places I never expected. I focused on myself, on rebuilding a life where I was no longer defined by someone else's love. And in that journey, I found something even better, peace. One evening, as I sat in a quiet cafe, sipping my coffee, I saw a couple laughing at a nearby table. The woman's eyes sparkled as she leaned in, hanging on to every word he said. It reminded me of how I used to be, how I had once looked at him with the same blind devotion. But I wasn't that woman anymore. I smiled to myself, knowing that real love wasn't about begging someone to see your worth. It was about being with someone who never made you question it in the first place. And as I walked out of that cafe, stepping into the cool evening air, I knew this was my new beginning.